It was really good to obviously get a couple more wickets for Australia. In the end, yeah, just happy to be able to contribute early and kind of make some inroads in that good lineup that New Zealand have. Been pretty positive. Obviously, the result didn't go our way, but I think we did a lot of good stuff, particularly early on in our bowling innings, and then obviously Dev played a really awesome innings, used the conditions to his advantage and batted really well. I think with our batting, it's just one of those things. The New Zealand guys bowled really well, had the ball moving, and just kind of caught us off guard a little bit. So, yeah, I think coming into the next game, we're looking to just kind of stick to what we do and play our positive form of cricket. I think I'm not too sure, to be honest. Like I haven't played in Dunedin before, but I think because it is a day game, I would expect it not to swing as much. But yeah, I'm not too sure.
Hi Dan, what's been the thing that struck you as the biggest difference in your early international matches? I think you've got 3 now, India and New Zealand, 2 pretty strong batting lineups you've had to bowl against. What's been the say one thing that stood out for you in those experiences?
I just think the quality of the batters is just another step above. So your margin for error is just a lot smaller, and as you move up in the standards of cricket, going from kind of leagues, domestic cricket and international cricket, that's kind of what you come to expect. You're playing the best players in the world. So yeah, it's just you've got to have your plans and be able to execute them really well.
Just going back to the BBL season over here, was it a bit of a frustrating season in a few aspects? You had a couple of those injuries that sort of kept you out for 2 or 3 games at a time. Each time you seem to be building a bit of momentum, particularly with the bat this season, and then had to be sidelined. Was that a little bit frustrating?
Yeah, it was a little bit frustrating. It's always annoying getting injuries and missing games. But I just kind of used it as in a way as a positive. I'd played a lot of cricket and it was kind of forced rest for me to be able to kind of recharge and that kind of thing. So I think sport is you're gonna get injured, so you just try and put a positive spin on it.
And just last one from me, has there any, for you guys, particularly the ones who've played a lot of BBL the last couple of months, which is obviously most of the squad, have you had to readjust your thinking going back to the traditional 6-over power play at the top and not having the 2 overs floating later in the innings?
For me personally, it hasn't really changed my thinking bowling wise. It probably makes it, if anything, a little bit easier to bowl, because you've got what we found in the BBL, because there's only 4 overs in the power play up front, the batters were going a lot harder, and you found if spin was bowled, it just went the journey, because the batters knew I was 2 out, only 4 overs, and they just went really hard. I think with 6 overs, the batters know that they can kind of spend that first over, see the conditions, maybe even the second over, and then go. So you kind of got a little bit more time to assess. And then with the bat, I think, yeah, same kind of thing. You got time to assess. So not much of a mindset change, but there is little tweaks.
Thanks, mate.
No worries.
Thanks, Andrew. Sammy Ferris.
Good morning, Dan. Mate, how does it feel to be over there in New Zealand? You made your debut, first-class debut in New Zealand, and now 3 and a bit years later, you're playing for Australia. What kind of does that mean to you across your cricketing journey?
Yeah, I was really excited before that first game, because that's kind of at Hagley, playing for Canterbury is kind of where my professional career started. Well, it is where it started. So that was cool to be able to come back and play there against New Zealand and see some of the guys that I played with Canterbury and some of the support stuff over there. So that was special.
Did the crowd treat you any differently? Do they know that you were an old player there?
There was a few funny comments, just saying, "Oh, you remember when you played for Canterbury? You bit of a traitor." I was like, "Well, geez, I don't know about that," but nah, it was all good. It's good fun out there, good crowd.
Great. And what was it like playing in front of almost a packed house there?
It was awesome. It's a beautiful ground. I've never played on a huge stage with that kind of ground before, with the hill basically going around the whole ground. So it was a really, really cool atmosphere. it kind of made me think of like back in the day, like 20, 30 years ago, when people would take like their fold out chairs and stuff like that onto the hill and just hang out.
And just last one, Thursday's game is a day game. It's kind of unheard of at international level to play a T20 game during the day around lunchtime. Does that change your preparation? How do you go about preparing for a day game as opposed to waiting all day for a night one?
Doesn't really change prep in regards to like skill wise or anything. We're still going to have to execute the same plans or whatever plans that we have changed from that first game. I think it's just may have to wake up a little bit earlier, but besides that, not much changes. So I was, I was playing a second 11 game for New South Wales, and just our head of selector came up to me and said that Canterbury Cricket have contacted Cricket New South Wales asking for a bowler. I think it was because they had a lot of injuries. So like Kyle was playing, Jamison was playing there, Nuttall was there, and a couple others, and they were all injured. So they didn't really have any bowlers. So they just asked for someone to go, and Cricket New South Wales asked me to go. And of course, I was more than happy to go play first class cricket. So so I went over there and played 2 games, one at Hagley and one at it's Main Power, I think the ground's called, in Rangi. And then went back home, and actually they called me back again to go play in Auckland. So it was good fun. So I wasn't 100% sure on the quality of the competition in regards to in Australia, but it was definitely the standard of first class cricket here was higher than any other cricket that I played before. But I just remember the Canterbury coach then, and I just remember before I went into bat in the first game, he just said to me, just make sure you go out there and be free and bat the way that you think you need to bat in this situation. Career so far, because it just kind of frees me up and enables me to kind of evaluate the situation and play how I think the situation needs to be played out. He was injured the whole time. I haven't really spoken to a lot of them since I'd played, but we had a little chat before the game the other day. Obviously, it's been a big few weeks for him, and it was congratulations.
Chris or Lockie, do you have anything to add, or does anyone else want to go again before we wrap up? Cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we might wrap it up there, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we'll chat to you later.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheers, Dan.
Thanks, Dan.